Hello, I'm your host Luke, and today I'll be going over the Australian cryptid known as the Bunyip. The Bunyip is a large mythical creature from Australian aboriginal mythology said to lurk in swamps, billabongs, creeks, riverbeds, and watering holes. On July of 1845, the Geelong Advertiser describes the Bunyip in great detail. It is also the first recorded use of the term Bunyip. The bunyip, then, is represented as uniting the characteristics of a bird and of an alligator. It has a head resembling an emu with a long bill, at the extremity of which is a transverse projection on each side, with serrated edges, like the bone of the stingray. Its body and legs partake of the nature of the alligator, with its hind legs being that are remarkably strong and thick, and the forelegs are much longer. It is still of great strength, though. The extremities are furnished with long claws. People say its usual method of killing its prey is by hugging it to death. When in the water, it swims like a frog, and when on shore, it walks on its hind legs with its head fully erect, in which its position it measures 12 or 13 feet. Now we go to some sightings of the creature. One morning in November 1821, E.S. Hall saw a dog-faced bunyip with jet black hair in the marsh running into Lake Bathurst, New South Wales. In 1847, a young herdsman saw a long-necked bunyip grazing while he was looking for some cows in a flooded area. A local settler reported the young herdsman's story to the Sydney Morning Herald, and according to the report, it said, "It is about as big as a 6-month-old calf, of a dark brown color, a long neck, and a pointed head. It had large ears, which pricked up when it perceived him. It had a thick mane of hair from the head down the neck, and 2 large tusks. He turned to run away, and this creature, equally being alarmed, ran off too. And from a glance he took at it, that he describes it as having an awkward, shambling gallop. The forequarters of the animal were very large in proportion to the hindquarters, and it had a large tail. He took 2 men to the place to see it the next morning to look for its track, which they described as broad and square, somewhat like what the spread hand of a man would make in soft, muddy ground. In 1852, a dog-faced bunyip was observed in Lake Tiberius of Tasmania. It is described as being 4 feet long, with a head like a bulldog, and black, shaggy fur. While rowing across Great Lake Tasmania, Charles Headlam and a friend almost bumped into it, and they described it as being about the size of a fully grown sheepdog and having 2 small wing-like flippers, and the bunyip stayed at the top of the water until it swam out of view. And in 1872, 3 men watched a dog-faced bunyip swimming in Migean Lagoon, New South Wales, for about half an hour. One of the men gave the following first-hand descriptions to the Wagga Wagga Advertiser. It was half as long again as an ordinary retriever dog. The hair all over its body was jet black and shining. Its coat was very long, with the hair spreading out on the surface of the water for about 5 inches and floating loosely as the creature rose and fell by its own motion. I could not detect any tail, and the hair about its head was too long and glossy to admit any of it seeing my eyes. The ears were well marked. In 1886, some horsemen who were fording a river near Canberra reported seeing a dog-faced bunyip, which was about the size of a dog and had a white coat. They threw stones at the bunyip until it was out of sight. And in 1890, a bunyip with a white coat was shot at New South Wales. It retreated into a lagoon and was said to make a grunting sound. And then I actually found a modern bunyip sighting where the guy says he saw it at Uluru, A couple of years ago, he went to study abroad with his university to Australia for a couple of months. We started in Darwin and traveled south. The bus ride itself was pretty uneventful, and we stayed at a hostel in Alice Springs and got up before dawn to drive to Uluru. The rest of the students had decided to go back to sleep for the bus ride, but I was looking out the window at what little I could make of the scenery, and it was the time right before dawn when you're first able to make out your surroundings, and the bus slowed down to park and made a turn into an empty lot, and that's when I saw it. An extremely large shadow walking through the bush. He's a bad judge of height, but it was taller than any human that he had ever seen. Perhaps 10 feet tall, with extremely elongated arms and legs, and even though there was enough light to make out details of the landscape, the figure appeared completely just like a shadow. The shadow was a stark contrast to the rest of the scenery, as there was a thin mist in the area. I've seen flashes of shadows driving before or something out of the corner of my eye, but this was different as I was able to watch it for several slow seconds as he walked in the odd swaying dipping motion with this distinct grace, moving effortlessly across the bush. I felt like as soon as I saw it, I had been electrocuted, every hair standing up and my skin prickling. I tried to wake my friend up, but by the time she looked out the window, it was gone. This has been your host, Luke. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe for more. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.